push record right now. So there's going to be some people yelling at me now. Jeez. How many of you believe Murphy's Law? I do. Jeez.
Yeah.
God dang. Anyway.
Well, you're coming to the best part of the meeting. So that.
Yeah. When you Kalomi, my brain was fried right then. You were talking about when to make.
So the question was whether if school opens, whether we are doing a speech contest on Zoom or going to in person. I think that was the simple question.
I don't think it depends on whether school opens or not. I think it depends on whether your Rotary Club starts meeting again. If your Rotary Club is...
That was my question, but I guess the answer really is it's going to be up to the speech chair of each club to make that call.
Yeah, I'm not making the call.
Yeah, that would be for each club, but then when it comes to district, the zone and the district content, then Bill can make the call.
Yeah, I'm assuming that we are not going to be having very many in-person speech contests. And I'm taking it just from a personal point of view. Until they get a vaccine out that I can trust, I'm not going to an in-person speech contest. I'm not going to an in-person anything. And I do not want to get COVID-19. I don't, there's a whole lot of things in my life that I haven't gotten done with yet. And laying in bed on a ventilator is not one of them. So if there's, you know, every one of the speech chairpersons has to make that kind of a decision. And, you know, we're doing lots of things in our Rotary Club now, talking about a crab feed and how in the heck we're going to do that. And I've just made it real clear that I will help out with the crab feed, but I'm not going to, you know, they talked about, well, maybe we have it in a small building or something. I'm not going.
So therefore, I think we can continue with the Zoom lesson, and then hopefully we can do on Zoom. But things really changes, then we can go back to in person.
Yeah, and I think if you're prepared to do a Zoom meeting, you've got a manual now to do an in-person meeting, and you just take the Zoom out of it. But I think that if you come to the trainings, if you have doubts. By the way, our trainings are going to start really simple with the toolbar, and then we're going to get more and more complicated as we go along. And when I say complicated, I don't mean it's that complicated, because once you understand how to do it, it seems pretty simple and you really get confidence. I've been sitting here with my iPads and my computer running Zoom meetings to myself, and it's kind of fun. And I learned a lot that way. And like I said, I'm learning new things every single day. I mean, it's unbelievable how many little tricks and things there are in it. Any other things we need to discuss before we go on to, you know, I didn't get an answer about whether you wanted to have regularly once a month planning meetings, or if you just want me to continue with the training, and then when November rolls around, we'll discuss what we're going to do from that moment on. Or one of my problems is there's only like 3 of us that have technology coordinators right now, and I'm doing all this training. Do we start over again in January, or you understand what I mean?
Well, this is one of the reasons I think we should continue having our monthly meetings. We could always decide later if we don't need them anymore, but I'm interested to hear what other clubs are doing and deciding to get new ideas. And if we don't have monthly meetings, I'm going to be missing a lot.
Did everybody?
Yeah.
I'd like to go back to one of the speakers' inputs about the in-person and Zoom. Seems to me that it appears that beyond the club level, we're probably going to be in a Zoom environment, which means for our student to have a chance, they probably need to have Zoom from the beginning if they're going to go to the, you know, all the way through the different levels. Because sounds like what I heard someone say is that the district is probably going to be a Zoom contest.
You know, the district final is clear in May. Lots of things could happen. I think there's a chance that we could have an in-person district conference. But I don't think there's much of a chance for club level contests to be not Zoom contests. I don't think the vaccine's going to be out. I don't think once it comes out that it's going to be readily available through, well, February, March, probably.
You've answered my question. Basically, in fairness to the student and the faculty, they should be prepared to go Zoom all the way through. If we have the opportunity to do it live, that's wonderful, but that's the safest approach, is prepared to be a Zoom contest.
Yes, you add into that the zone is going to be before May. Zones we're talking about, what,
Right.
April?
In April, probably the zone contest will be in April. March 23rd, or I think it's 21st is our deadline for club contests. I was looking in the manual the other day and I thought, gee, I said the 23rd the other day on the air. But the other thing I've said in my write-ups in the handbooks is we need to be a little flexible on deadlines this year. So, you know, if your contest gets done on the 24th, you're not going to hear anything from me. But we have to be aware that to get the area contest set up, we need to make sure that we get done by the end of March for sure, whatever club contest you're doing.
Now regarding having a Zoom contest, are you going to be giving us the flyer to give students that explains how it will be done by Zoom? Will there be a different?
That was the first handout I showed you a few minutes ago, right there, if you can see it. That's in your packet.
I don't think it is. I looked through the handbook and I could not find it.
No, there's no one handbook. There's 5 of them.
So we need to get that.
Send me an email and say, hey, Bill, I don't have all the flyers and handouts. And so just send me an email. I will attach them and send it right back to you. Bill Highland at Comcast.com. I'm sorry, Bill Highland at Comcast.net. I'm thinking it's my Gmail address. Oh, brother. Bill Highland at Comcast.net.
Okay.
And it'll be, my address is going to be on the minute meeting I send out tomorrow. So you can take it right off of the minutes too. Okay, Eric, any other questions there? Let's do any other things. Have we decided on a meeting time for planning meetings?
I noticed all of your trainings are at 7 p.m. in that original paper you gave us.
Yes.
And how long do you think the training would last? Would it be like just a half an hour?
I hope so. Number one, if I make my trainings too long, people start going completely crazy. So I would say a half an hour to an hour at maximum.
But do you see having training and a monthly meeting on the same night?
Do whatever you guys want.
My curiosity, how many of you are comfortable with Zoom or you know about Zoom well enough?
That's a good question. I've used Zoom a lot, but I'm sure there's a lot out there I don't know about it, and I'd like to learn more.
Thank you, Dean.
And I'm just now learning, so I have a ways to go right here.
Thank you, Anne.
I've been spending full time on it and I'm learning something new today.
Thank you, Ross.
I mean, there is a lot to this program there. And it's not hard once you realize what some of the things are, but just like the poll today, I couldn't switch it to multiple once we opened it up. Now I got to research what happened to me there because, you know, the other day when Dean, you brought it up, didn't you? You say, let's do multiple, or somebody did. And so I was able to, but it was because we switched it before I ran it. If you remember that, remember I ran the poll and I switched it to multiple before I ran it. So there's a little crazy little geek thing there. Okay, I'm gonna go as quickly as I can through the toolbar so I can kick you guys loose. And first of all, we talked about at the first meeting, when you talk to your, I wanted to say customers, but your guests at the speech contest, I think you really need to give them a slight introduction to the toolbar just so they know how to unmute themselves and mute themselves, because remember, the host does not have the capabilities of unmuting somebody. Once you click mute all, you don't have the ability to unmute them. They can only unmute themselves. So when you click, and if all of you want to follow along just as we do, click on your and it clears up, and now you hear me again.
Bill, question. You said if you mute all, you can't unmute individuals. Can you unmute all?
No. And the reason they did that is a privacy thing, that people were worried that people were going to come in and unmute them when they were doing something that they didn't want them to know about. You know what I mean? It was like a secret. The host can unmute me, and you know, so in other words, once you do mute all, and I forgot where the mute all is on participants, I believe. And yeah, we'll get to that in just a minute as to how to mute all. Okay, now on the right of mute, there's a little up arrow. If you click on that up arrow, is everybody doing that now? You get one of the things that I have, you get all the machinery that your microphone's working on. Now, my son talked me into buying what's called a Blue Ice snowball microphone. It's a real fancy thing here. Got it right here. And he said, Dad, you need to buy that because the camcorders have a real tinny sound to them. I can't really tell the difference, but my son knows everything. Matt Kalomi can tell you, he knows everything. And so I bought that Blue Ice microphone. That Blue Ice microphone has a little red dot that comes on the top of it whenever it's running all the time. And so I'm sitting there. In fact, the last meeting we had, I was saying, geez, man, I look like I've got a sunburn. And I thought, well, maybe it's because I took a shower before I came in and all the blood's on my face, you know, from the hot shower. And I started experimenting around, and I looked over, how could that little tiny red light make me look like I had the worst sunburn of my life? And I took some paper and taped over it, and son of a gun, my sunburn went away. And so I'm going to talk about light a little more in just a second. Anyway, you can see where everything is and which equipment you're working off of. I have a special set of speakers, and I have that microphone that I'm running off of. So if you are entering a speech contest, you may want to run a test on your microphone and speakers to make sure they're working. And the way you do that, if you look at right at the bottom third, it says test speaker and microphone. If you click that, let me explain what's going to happen. If you click that, you're going to hear a sound, and it asks you, do you hear a sound? Click yes if you do. Click no if you don't, and I'll explain to you what happens if you click no. Then it says say something. So I usually say, hi, how you doing? And then just stop. And it will repeat back to you, hey, how are you doing? So let's everyone try this. Click test speaker and microphone. Click yes if you hear it. And then say
Rotary.
something. Say anything. Just say something.
Hello.
Buongiorno.
Okay. That tests your microphone, and all of them should be working because I think all of your stuff is working. Now, what happens if you, and you know, I'm just a curious kind of guy. So one day I get on that and I try the test thing and I click no, I don't hear the sound. Guess what it does? It automatically falls back on the default microphone of my camcorder, or whatever the system, whatever the default system is that's in the Zoom account, you know, that you started out with. It automatically goes to that one and hopefully starts working if there's something wrong with some of my other equipment. So I found that kind of interesting. Now let's go over to stop video. And if, for instance, you want to go out and get a drink of water or go to the restroom and you don't want anybody to know you're gone, you can click stop video. And basically, I learned something last week that I didn't know. When I stopped my video last week, did you guys get my name or my picture? Anybody here last week? Well, let me do it right now and see what you get. Did you get a picture?
Yeah.
We get your picture, yes.
Okay, that's my son's fault. But I thought it just came up with my name. Hiromi, Barb, Ross, all of you, all your names just came up, not your pictures. So you don't have a picture in your profile is what's happening there. If you had a profile picture in there, then that's what would come up instead of your name or your initials. Okay, let's go over to security. If you click on security, you get a pop-up screen.
Where's security?
Yeah.
Security is the next icon over. It's about little ways. By the way, another thing you should know, some of you, if you're on iPads, your toolbar is up at the top of the page, depending on what you're operating on, where your toolbar is. And if you're on a cell phone, your toolbar is shortened and it says more out at the outside edge of it. If you click on there, then you get the rest of the things that we have on our bigger computers automatically. So
I don't see security is not on the bottom.
I think only host or co-host can see the security. I don't think participants.
okay, well, let me explain what's on there. That's a good point, because I didn't realize, since I'm always the host, there's some things that I'm not aware of that's happening to you guys, but you will be the host probably if your technology coordinator isn't. At the top, it has lock meeting. Lock meeting means once you click that, no one can enter the meeting from that moment on. Okay, I don't know that that's really necessary, because during your speech contest, if anybody enters your meeting, you can just mute them anyway if they got music going on in the background or something like that. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. So you could let people get in late, but let's say that we're running a meeting where we don't want to be interrupted with people coming in late. You can click that block meeting and that will eliminate them. The next thing down on that particular table is enable waiting room. I thought having a waiting room was a really great idea until I ran a crab feed meeting with 9 people in a waiting room where 3 of the people were going in and out of the meeting, and pretty soon I was going crazy. And so I'm kind of opposed to waiting rooms. However, when we're running the speech contest, one of the things we need to do, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute, is rename all the contestants from their screen name to contestant 1, contestant 2, contestant 3, contestant 4, so that they have no identification, because no one is supposed to know what their name is or what their school is during the contest. So the waiting room is very useful for that, because I want to have them show up a half an hour before the speech contest, have them pick a number from 1 to 50 or whatever, and determine the time that they're coming in to the speech contest. And I lost my train of thought. Somebody sent me a chat and I got it. Fine. I don't want people to enter the speech contest while we're doing that. And I also want the speech officials to come in after the students and rename themselves. Speech chairperson Barb, technology coordinator. That way you have the ability, the technology coordinator can right away see who to transfer to the breakout room at the end of the meeting or at the end of the presentations and things like that. Also, people, if they want to send you a chat, have your name and what your position is. And if they feel that something's not going right during the speech contest, they could send a chat like to the speech chairperson. Okay, let's go back here. So we were talking about the waiting room and I got off on a little tangent there that I'll explain how all those things happen too. It says allow participants to share screen is the next thing on the security key thing. And in fact, when you're practicing with your Zoom, if you do practice, you will be able to use all these because you will be the host if you start a new meeting. You are the host, even if you're a basic member. And I have changed my mind about allowing participants to share screen. I have clicked yes on that. And the reason is, lots of times when you're holding a meeting and somebody has something to share, you don't want to go searching around, well, how do I share this? Let the participant share the screen. This way they're automatically able to share the screen. Does that make sense? And you don't have one thing to think about. Now in Rotary, you're not going to have people coming in and sharing screens as something that you don't want to see. You want to enable participants to use chat. That's a very important thing during a meeting. I can't believe all the information I got off a chat once I copied it down. Halomi had it copied for me. We need to be able to rename themselves. We're talking about the guests. That's the next thing. So when you have that marked, that means that the contestant can go in and rename themselves, contestant 1, contestant 2. Some of you didn't have your names on the screen last week, and Halomi went in as a co-host and renamed it for you, but you would be able to right-click on your name or go into the participant screen, and it says more out on the right, and you can rename yourself there too. Unmute themselves. Remember, I cannot unmute you, but I can keep you from unmuting yourself. I can't unmute you myself, but I can remove your ability to unmute. And that's in the security icon as the host. Here's one that's really important. You can click to remove a participant from the contest, or a guest, or anyone. And when we do the lesson on settings, you can click on settings and tell the settings that anybody that's removed is not allowed to return to the meeting. I have clicked that on. So if I go as far as to remove somebody from a meeting, I don't think I want them back. And if they're causing problems during the speech contest, I want them out of there. Another thing that a host can do is remove somebody to the waiting room if they have a waiting room enabled, and that person can just sit out there in the waiting room and do nothing. And then you can go and let him back in the future. So basically, remove participant allows you to move them to the waiting room or remove them permanently, either one. And okay, now let's slip over to participants. If you click on participants, I think all the participants in the meeting will show up on your screen. I think even as a guest, so click on participants. Did y'all get a list of all the participants? I hope, I don't see anybody responding.
Yes,
don't
I
know.
got the list.
Okay,
I did.
so you can see who's here and who's muted and who isn't and things like that. Now, if you click on the right of participants, there's an up arrow and it says invite. If you click invite, a screen opens up, and down at the bottom of the screen, it says copy invite link and copy invitation. That's where you can get the information on this meeting that I send you in the meeting minutes. That if, you know, for future meetings or this meeting, and since I've scheduled all these meetings at once, we have exactly the same meeting ID and password for every single meeting every Tuesday. I think that's very beneficial not to have the meeting number change every single week. So you can click on this. Now, what's the difference between an invite link and a copy invitation? An invite link simply gives you the one click where you click it and it takes you right to the Zoom meeting, or you paste it into your address bar and go, and it takes you right into the Zoom meeting. The copy invitation, if you click that, go ahead and just click copy invitation, and it says invitation has been copied to clipboard. What does that mean? Does anybody know? Invitation has been copied to clipboard. It means your clipboard, whenever you copy something or move it, you know, like you mark and bound something and you copy it, it goes to the clipboard. What this means is now you have an invitation copied on your clipboard. You can go to your email, click on the, you know, where you're going to write something on the email, right click it, and then click paste, and you will get all the information regarding this meeting, including a link, the password and the meeting ID, including telephone numbers you can call to log into this meeting with telephone. If you click copy invite link, the only thing you get is the link that you can put in the address bar or click on, right click and say open, and it will take you right to the meeting. So the copy invitation is the best as far as I'm concerned, because that gives you the meeting ID, the password, and the link, and anybody can use whatever they prefer. Everybody good on that? By the way, it has email there. Maybe I just am a little slow or something, but I really get irritated when my emails and my programs are all tied together. It drives me crazy. So I have not attached my emails and my contact list to my Zoom account. So when I click on email, I get Gmail, Yahoo Mail, and default mail. If I click on Gmail, I do have a couple of Gmail accounts that I only use for Zoom. Pretty much one of them is that Rotary Doctor Zoom that I talked to you about at gmail.com. And so since I don't have any contacts in that list, if you have your emails attached to your Zoom account, which is not hard to do, you can click on there, copy invitation, click your email, and will automatically open the email. You can do your contacts, paste the email invitation into your Gmail and send it off just like that. What I do is I click copy invitation, I open up my Comcast email, paste it in there, and you know, whatever else I have to tell you guys, that's how it gets there. Anybody feeling overwhelmed yet?
So let me just put one thing. So Bill explained everything, but this is the way you can invite people during the Zoom meeting. You are not
Yeah.
doing this. You are creating a Zoom meeting, scheduling a meeting before you enter into this meeting. So this is very separate. And I don't think you use this invite or emailing from this participant window
Yeah.
as often as you think.
Well,
It's
I use it because I go in there and I'll show you another, next week when we're talking about settings on computers, I'll show you another setting where you can copy the meeting ID and all that, but it doesn't work as well as this particular one. This one allows you to do the Zoom link so that it works on your emails and they can just click on it as Barb did earlier today. Now, chat, we were talking about last week, I think. If you click on your chat key and then you go to, where it says to everyone and you click on there, it gives you a list of all the people in this particular meeting, and then you can send them a private chat. Now, I just read, I thought, my God, I got 3 pages of chats. I must have got the chats that people sent to each other, but I didn't. If you send a private chat, let's say that I'm sending Dean something. I send Dean a private chat. The host does not see that chat. If you do a private chat, no one sees it but the 2 people involved in the chat. If you send a everyone chat, then the host sees it. Or if you send something directly to the host will see it. Does that make sense for everyone? Okay, so that's how the chat works. Okay, the share screen, if you click on it, you're going to get, since I already, remember in my security icon, I already said that participants can share their screens. So if you click on that, you'll probably get whiteboard, screen 1, and iPhone, iPad. Is that what you have on your, unless you had some other account open or file open before you clicked on share screen, it will not show up. If the file is not open, you will not be able to share it. So what you need to do when you first sit down at your Zoom computer to bring up the Zoom files is open any file that you want to share and just shrink it. You know, the little the one line up at the corner, you click on that and it will shrink it and then go on to whatever else you want to open. On my screen right now, which you guys can't see, the judge's speech score spreadsheet is showing on it. And that's the one where I learned if I'm opening Google Drive, I've got 3 files open in Google Drive right now. So if I click on my judge's speech scores, I'll bring up my 2 flyers and my judge's speech scores, and then I just click on the one I want to have come on. If, by the way, if you click on iPhone or iPad, you actually see everything that's on your iPhone or iPad that you're running. The icons, everything is just as if you're running a computer within a computer. So you can do anything on your iPhone to show somebody a movie or whatever and share it. Another thing is, down at the bottom of your screen, do you see where it says share computer sound and or optimize screen sharing for video clip? Right at the bottom of your share screen. You want to make sure if you're running a video that you click those 2 things, just click them and they'll come on before you share the video clip. I think I forgot to do that when I was showing you my Dr. Zoom video the other day, and I stopped and went back and started over. I forgot to do that. And what happens is if you show a video without clicking those, it gets all jumpy. It just gets all screwed up. And so you want to make sure you do that. If you're showing a video of something that's going on or a movie or something that you're trying to share with people, be sure to click those 2 things before you go into it.
Is that where you share a PowerPoint?
Yes, yes. If you have a PowerPoint you want to share, you need to start the PowerPoint file shrink it, open up your Zoom account, go to share screen, and it will say PowerPoint. You click on PowerPoint, and there you are with your PowerPoint slides ready to go, and you'll be able to do your PowerPoint show. That's
One more
exactly how
thing.
you do it.
So don't keep it open, anything you don't want to show. The first thing behind of Zoom screen or on the Google Chrome or Safari, whatever, would open, like bank statement, something privacy things. You don't want to keep it open because people may see it. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah, you don't want to have anything open when you're in a
Yeah,
group meeting or
something
anything
only
like
you
that.
want to share.
Okay, any other question? By the way, I was in a Rotary meeting and we had a surgeon giving a presentation, and he turned on his share, and he had his PowerPoint that he wanted to show everybody, and he couldn't get it to work. And I just happened to say, Doc, I forget what the doctor's name was. I said, did you have your file running before you started Zoom? And he hadn't. That's how I got the nickname Dr. Zoom. Jeez. So anyway, you have to have the file running before you try to make it work. Any questions on that? Now just click the X up on the corner. That way you won't be sharing your screen with us. Now the very next thing, on my screen, but not on yours, I don't think, although I believe there is a recording button on your screen, I'm not sure that it's enabled, because I think I have settings turned off for you to be able to record our meetings. But as a host, you can record. And when we go into the meeting on training on settings, I'll show you how to do the settings. You can record to the cloud, or you can record to your computer. The advantage of recording to the cloud is what I do is send you out a link to the cloud so you can watch this meeting at your convenience. If you record it to your computer, it's recorded as an MP4 file, and usually it's a very, very big file. Our file was 873 megabytes last week for an 1.5-hour meeting. You don't exactly email files that are that big. So the easiest thing is to do it on the cloud. And by the way, to do it on the cloud, you have to have a pro license. You can't do it as a basic license. If you have a basic license, the only thing you can do is record to your computer. Okay. By the way, on my record button, once I start it, it has a pause and a stop recording button. Once I hit the stop recording, it starts a new file if I start it up again. If I just pause it, it just, if I know we're going to have a dead spot in the meeting, I just pause it, and then you could go to the start it up again as soon as you had the dead spot in the meeting over, and that'll save you some space on the cloud. The next one I have is breakout rooms. Probably none of you have breakout rooms icon open. And the reason is, in settings, you have to enable breakout rooms to work. Now, even the basic plan has breakout rooms, but until you turn them on in settings, which is a future meeting, it will not show up on your toolbar. So we'll talk about breakout rooms a lot when we return to some more advanced topics. In the last one, I have reactions, and several of you already have reactions. I enabled them on your computers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reactions because I have the most current Zoom. If you only have 2 of them showing, the thumbs up and the clap, if you only have 2 of them showing, it means you need to update your Zoom account.
How do you update your Zoom account?
I assume you go in and in your settings it says update accounts. On iPad it does. I don't know. You've asked me a question that I don't know. I just read about it that you probably are not running the most current Zoom. And does anybody know how they would update? If what you could do is just re-download it, possibly. just start over again, which would probably take your personal meeting ID away. But I try not to use my personal meeting ID, because if you have problems on a meeting, for instance, if we have people coming to this meeting that I don't care to have coming to this meeting, I will simply reschedule and get a new meeting ID and change it. Whereas if it's my personal meeting ID, it's kind of hard for me to change it. I only use my personal meeting ID for my family, things like that. Okay, and so I can put things up like I've got a snow cone, I guess, whatever that thing is. You can have a hand, you can have a heart for your, if you're having a really good meeting and you're loving everything that's happening, there you go. And it basically, it kind of disappears after a while. That pretty much covers the toolbar. Boy, oh my gosh. We've been on, what, an hour? Oh my gosh. It's been quite a while. I'm going to stop the recording. Yes.